Okay, everybody, good afternoon. I'm going to go ahead and start. Unfortunately, I cannot work my chat and have the screen share with you at the same time. But if you use your chat, Peter is going to let me know if there are questions, and then I will answer them. But today we're going to talk about mostly about why it's important to do research on a company prior to um, going for a job interview. Now, for some reason, so research, what we're going to talk about throughout the rest of the day is why is research important? Because it is very important, and I'll explain why. And I'm going to explain what a mission statement is. And a mission statement is one of the most important things that you can find out about a company. It's very important to know, and I'll explain that. And then we're going to talk about different types of interviews, whether they be in person or if they are online, or if they're like through a Zoom call or something like that, or if it's a phone interview. And they're all very related to each other, although they do change up. They change up. Some of the things that you're going to do are going to change up, obviously. Then we're going to talk about finishing strong when you finish an interview and how you will get that interview, how that's going to be best suited for you, that you're going to end up getting the job, and questions to ask and so on. And then what happens after the interview? What happens? There's a lot that happens that you should be prepared to take care of. So we'll just go ahead and move right into research. What you want to do when you hear about a job that is somebody is posting a job for that they need an employee, or either posting it or you see it in a store window, or no matter where you happen to hear about the job, you want to do research on the company or the individual before you plan to meet with them. And I like to think that it's a good idea to do it before you even send your resume to them. It's important because what you want to do is be able to include things in there about the company, and you want to personalize the resume and personalize all of your talking when you're in your interview. It's all really important that you just go online and find out about different things about the company, and you'll see that it's going to be a big help. Social media can be your friend or it can be your foe. And I know that you've talked about social media before with other people, but I want to bring it home one more time, because Facebook and Twitter and all of the others, they can be really a good friend to you because you can pull out a lot of information about it. But at the same time, you have to be careful what you have posted on those, because the same as you will go about looking up information about a company, they're going to stop and they're going to look for information about you. And they have every right to do that. So they can go on Facebook or and find out what you've posted. If you're not a member of Facebook, maybe it's Instagram, maybe it's LinkedIn, whatever the case may be. Something they can go to and find out anything about you that they want What you don't want them to find out about you, make sure that's all swept clean. And I know that was brought up in just recently, but please take that very, very seriously. It's so very important. I'm gonna. A mission statement is something that you want to find out about a company. And this is a very important thing to remember. A mission statement is the core values of what a company stands for and what they want their customer experience to be. So you can gain a lot of knowledge about a company before you ever go in, just by reading their mission statement. And I've given some different for instances, which are, I feel, very important, and they really drive home the whole idea. Is the McDonald's mission statement is, we strive to be the best quick service experience. In order to be the best, we will give outstanding quality, service, cleanliness, and value. This should make every customer smile. And that's a big deal. So when you go into your interview, one of the things that you want to do is you want to, with following along with this mission statement, is you want to make sure that you're early. Be 5 minutes early. Always be 5 minutes early for a job interview. 5 minutes early is on time as far as most people are concerned. So it's important that you make sure that you're 5 minutes early and you're showing them that you would be there for quick service. Okay, in order to be the best, we'll give outstanding quality, service, cleanliness, and value. That means when you show up, you should be dressed the part. You should be dressed very, very nicely, and make sure that your hands are real clean and that you have a good smell about you, that you've used deodorant, and you've got yourself really together and clean. And guys, make sure that you've tucked in your shirt. It's a big deal. I know a lot of people wear their shirts outside of their pants now. As a matter of fact, I do when I'm not in a place that I don't have to. I'm much more casual. But what you want to do is you want to make sure that you come across as best as possible. So, and when you walk in, the first thing you want to do when you meet with your future employer, hopefully he's going to be he or she will be your future employer, is you want to smile. Smiling is one of the most contagious things that you can possibly do. When you smile at somebody, 9 times out of 10, they're going to smile back at you. It's like a yawn. Whenever somebody yawns, somebody else yawns in the room. So it's a good idea. So there's some key elements that you can take out just from their mission statement. If you've read some other things about the company, you want to talk about those things when you're in your interview. Like, for instance, you find out that they just sold their 3 billionth hamburger in California. Say, you know, with interest, I was looking up on the website and I noticed that you sold your 3 billionth hamburger today, or whatever the case may be. I'm making that up, obviously. But you want to say something that lets them know that you have been doing research on the company. It's important. Nordstrom's has another really good mission statement. And that is, in our store or online, wherever new opportunities arise, Nordstrom works relentlessly to give customers the most compelling shopping experience possible. What's the one constant? John W. Nordstrom's founding philosophy is the one constant, and that is offer the customer the best possible service, selection, quality, and value. So that tells you how you go about that interview as well. You don't want to go into Nordstrom's dressed inappropriately for what a Nordstrom shopper would be about. You want to, when you go online, you can find out, you can look online on their website and see how people are dressed and see how they're dressed in the workplace, and try and dress like they do, because then you look like you're part of the team already. And the more you look like you fit into the team, hopefully the more you will fit into the team when the time comes. Okay, and that means that you'll be getting the job. I've got one more mission statement that I would like to share with you, and it's a really good one as well. It's on a whole different type of business, but it's with Amazon. And we strive to offer the customers the lowest possible prices, the best available selection, with the utmost convenience. And that's what Amazon does. So once again, you want to make sure that you arrive at an interview with Amazon, or arrive. When I say arrive, I mean also if you're having the interview over Zoom or something like that, or Skype or whatever, whenever you sign in to that meeting, sign in a few minutes early. It just lets them know that you're eager. I know whenever I sign into any Zoom meeting whatsoever, I always sign in about 3 to 5 minutes early, and I wait for the host to let me in. It just seems to be the smartest thing to do. Peter, do we have any questions so far? I think Peter's doing another meeting as well. So I will take it. Does anyone have any question that they can come on? If not, that's okay. I'll keep moving forward. When you're looking up things about a company, you want to also look up what is the special vocabulary or that is used in whatever place you are. It's called lingo. What is the lingo that's just used in the business that you happen to be going into? Like if you're going into the restaurant industry, you want to know what 86th means. And that means when you run out of a certain ingredient or a drink or a menu item, it's 86th. So if someone tells you that something is going to be 86th, it's just sold out the last oyster dish. So 86 the oysters for the rest of the night. Okay? A la carte means it's a French term, but it's used all the time, and it is means that a menu item is sold by itself. So if you are ordering the fish and say you're ordering a hamburger, you would ask if the hamburger is served a la carte, which means by itself, or do you need to order a side with it? That's just another way of talking their lingo. The more you can talk their lingo, the better it is. Because not only in a restaurant, but wherever you're going. I know that I've explained to you all in the very beginning that I came from the industry of special events. And in special events, there's a saying that everything goes by, and it's called doors. DOORS. Everything in an event is built off of doors. And that means, when do the doors open for the event? What time? So you've got to be ready and back it up. Everything backs up, all your timeline and everything, right from doors. Very important word to know when you're applying to somebody in the hospitality industry. Not that you just want to know what they're talking about if they say something to you, or you can bring it up. You can say, I read an interesting thing when I was doing research about your company, that doors means when the doors open for an event, and something along that line. Anything along that line that lets people know that you have done a little bit of research on the company or research on the field of whatever that field happens to be. It just puts you in a much stronger position to be able to move forward with the company. If you're talking about the retail industry, I'm sure that you've all heard of SKU. Well, the SKU, I'm looking here to see if there's a possible way to get in to chat, and I don't see it. The SKU is SKU. It means stock keeping unit, excuse me. And it's the identification number or code of a particular product. So every shirt that you go to buy has a SKU on it. And they can tell, if you go to a store and you ask if they have this in another size, they'll go to the computer and they'll look it up. And what they're doing is they're typing in the SKU number, which is the shopkeeping unit, and finding out what sizes they happen to have in there. Another thing in the retail industry is markdown. And it's the reduction of a price on a product that is unable to be sold at its original price. So you want to know these things just because it makes conversation a lot more genuine and a lot easier for you. When you're talking about merchandising, or maybe not in the retail industry, but maybe any kind of merchandising, any marketing, the group of consumers the business aims to attract and then sell to their merchandise to. Very important that you know these things, okay? Now, how is your interview going to be? What I'm going to do for just a moment is I'm going to stop sharing the screen so I can go on and look and see if you have any questions. Just for a moment. Okay. No one has any questions so far. Oh, wait. There is. My microphone isn't working, but I can hear you. Okay. What would be the best method to find out the lingo of a company? If you go on to the best method to find out the lingo of a company is to go into the company itself and look and see what it has to say about the company. And then you can look up online, as a matter of fact, lingo of construction industry, lingo of the restaurant industry, and they will give you different words. It's really pretty cool that you can do that. What type of interview attire do you recommend for construction, landscaping, and labor jobs? I suggest that you can wear nice Levi's, not torn up Levi's, but nice dark Levi's and a button-up shirt. I think that shows that you're going to come across very professional with them. I think a button-up shirt or a polo shirt is good. A t-shirt I would stay away from. But as long as it's clean is the most important thing. That's really important, okay? And what interview attire do you recommend if they are interviewing for a maintenance mechanic position? That is another thing that is, you just want to be really clean and well put together. That's the most important thing is, if you don't, something like that, you don't necessarily have to go on to wearing a button-up shirt, although I think it's always wise to dress as though you're part of management. It makes a big difference when you walk into a place and you look like you're part of management. You don't look like you are coming in to sweep the floors. Just be dressed nicely and clean. Make sure that on all of these things that you're applying for, make sure your hands are clean. One of the very first things that people are trained to do when they're interviewing is they're trained to look at a person's hands. That's a big deal because it says whether you have attention to detail. So think about that, okay? Do I have any more questions before I go back? I'm gonna go back to the screen share, okay. Just a thank you, okay. Thank you, Rosie. Okay. Okay, let's talk about your interview, where your interview is going to be. This is a big deal. Whether your interview is on the phone or it's virtual or it's in person. First off, if you're going to have a phone interview, you may think I'm crazy, but it honestly makes a difference. Make sure you get up, get yourself showered, get yourself dressed, and get yourself feeling professional. And when you get on the phone, when you say hello, make sure you smile and say, hello, how are you? This is John Daly. You want to smile because they can hear it in your voice. And what you don't want to have happen are these awkward silences. So don't let a silence go on and on and on. It can be painful. Let the person talk to you and ask you questions and make sure that you are asking questions. It's much more difficult actually to have an on-phone interview than any other type of interview because you can't see the person and you can't see what their expressions are or whatever. So be sure that if you're going to have a phone interview, that you have a lot of questions lined up. Never, ever in any kind of interview, never talk about money or benefits or what is the company going to do for you. Don't bring that up. Bring it up when it's time to bring it up. The person that's interviewing you is going to talk about it. Then go for it. But don't talk about it. Don't you be the one that brings it up. It's not a good idea. It makes people very, very uncomfortable, and it makes them think that you are just there looking for the job, for the money, and what am I going to get out of this? What is the big deal for me? Okay? That's a phone interview. Make sure that on the phone interview, when you have a notepad next to you, and write down the name of the person that's interviewing you right from the beginning. If they say, "Hi, this is Karen," write down Karen. So you can always refer back to her when you speak to her. You can always say, "Karen, what do you think of so-and-so?" The more you drive home her name or his name or whatever, the person that you're talking to, the more familiar it is, the better. Or maybe it's Karen Smith. Refer to her as Ms. Smith. Women in business are always Ms. MS period. Until they tell you to call them otherwise, make sure that you call them Ms. Very important that you don't goof that up. Even if you know that they're married, you don't want to call them Mrs. or Miss. Always Ms. Write it down. Keep notes on when you're on a phone interview so you can ask questions. Once they ask you a question, you might have a question that is back to them regarding the same thing. And you can turn questions back around, like, I'm going to talk about the types of questions to ask in a few minutes, but it's very important, especially on a phone interview, that you have questions ready. Now, a virtual interview or a Zoom interview or a Skype interview, there's a couple of things that you really have to think about, more than a couple of things. Always do a check your mic and check your camera beforehand, and make sure that what is behind you is not a mess. It's that you've got something very clean, set up very nicely. If you're in a house with a lot of people, go into a room where you can have that interview and let everyone know that you are on an interview and you need some quiet, because you don't want to be interrupted. You don't want to have people take your train of thought. But make sure, I have interviewed people and I couldn't believe it. They have a couch behind them with their laundry to be folded, sitting on top of the couch. And it's just sitting there, and their place looks like a sloppy mess. And what do I think about that when I see an interview like that? I think, my goodness, is this what their desk is going to look like? Is this the kind of files they're going to be turning in? Is this what it's going to be all about? So make sure that behind you is clean and tidy. Also, make sure that if you have a window behind you or alongside of you, make sure that you've pulled the curtain on that so you're not getting a glare of light. Because if there's a glare of light coming through, they're not going to be able to see you properly. And that's just irritating. And I always like to ask at the beginning, can you hear me okay? And hopefully they're going to be able to answer you. Now then, if you are doing an interview in person, this is sometimes a lot easier than doing it any other way, because you can get the feel and the vibe of what the person is thinking. You want to go in. Today, we know that we cannot go in and shake, and that we're shake hands. We have to keep social distance at this point in time. Wear a mask into an interview, and if they tell you that you can remove it and you feel comfortable removing it, then you can remove your mask. Otherwise, don't remove your mask. It shows respect to the person that you are interviewing with, that you, even if they're not wearing a mask, it just shows respect. They will invite you to remove your mask if they feel comfortable. And when you go in, you want to make sure that you exchange business cards. And when you exchange business cards, you're going to, I'm sorry, I got a little ahead of myself. Here we go with the exchange of your business card. When you hand somebody your business card, hand it to them with your name facing them. If you don't have a business card, I suggest, if you're on the job hunt, that you just go online and have some cards made that have just your name and all your contact information, your name, your address, your phone number, and your email address. Have it made, and it just shows that you're one step above what everybody else is being. It's not that expensive. It's something that you can do and have a few made. You don't have to have more than 100 made, but it's something that is just, it really shows that you've gone above and beyond. When someone gives you a business card, you don't want to write anything on their business card. Afterwards, as soon as the meeting is over and I'm by myself, I may write the description of the person on the back of the card or on the card someplace, so I remember the person, who the person was. If you are in a meeting, I'm going to back up now. If you're in a meeting where you are on a panel interview, which can be really difficult because you want to make sure that you're addressing every person. When you arrive, exchange your business card with everyone there and take their business card and put it on. You're going to be carrying a portfolio of some sort that you can take notes. I like to put their names in the order of which they are across the table, sitting across the table or across the room, however they happen to do it. So I can say, well, Ms. Smith, is this the way you would do that? Or Mr. Thompson, is this the way that you would like to see something like that done? You can name the person. Once again, it gives that familiarity and it makes them feel much more comfortable with you. And the more comfortable they're feeling with you, the more comfortable the position is going to be to give to you. Okay? You always, no matter how you interview, even like I said on the phone, you want to make sure that you have a neat appearance, clean hands and fingernails. Make sure that especially if you're meeting somebody in person, make sure that you've had your teeth brushed and your breath is fresh, your hair is all combed nicely, and you have deodorant. A lot of people don't have to wear deodorant on a regular basis, but when they get nervous, they can really have bad body odor. I know I'm one of those people that I can work all day in the garden and perspire, or dancing and perspire, and I don't have any body odor. But I'll tell you, the minute I get nervous, it is like the devil comes out of me. I really have terrible body odor. So that's because of being nervous. That's our human condition. It is to repel whatever it is that's making us nervous. Make sure that you wear deodorant. And nice clothing does not mean expensive clothing. It's nice clothing. Okay? I'm going to go back to the chat box now to see if there's any questions. Any questions, everybody? I'm on the chat box. You can go ahead and type them in. No, we don't have any. Okay. I'm sorry that I can't do this at the same time. If you have any questions and you want to unmute yourself, you can do that too.
Hi, John.
Hi.
I have a question. Do you recommend taking notes during an in-person interview?
I do recommend taking notes. Absolutely. And the reason being is it makes you look as though you're really taking it all very seriously. And even if you're writing down your grocery list, it doesn't matter. Write down something so it looks like you're really taking consideration of what's going on. It's pretty important. Or you might think of somebody might say something to you and you might think of a question that you're going to want to ask during that, during the interview. Write that down. Write down, maybe not the whole question, but write down, hours of operation or whatever the case may be.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? I'm going to switch back. You have to unmute over here at 963. I just have a phone number. Unless are you trying to talk to me or are you talking to someone else? Okay. I'm going to go back to the screen share. And we go back to the same place. You can see here on how to dress: formal attire with a matching tailored suit. You can do that if you want to. That's business formal. If you're going into a place like a bank or something along that line, I would dress that way. Otherwise, most places in the Santa Barbara County area don't require that real formal look. But if you're going to wear leather dress shoes, make sure they've been polished. And it's a good idea to have your belt and your shoes match, gentlemen. And you want to make sure that your shirt is tucked in very nicely and that it's been ironed. Now, if you're not much of an ironer, that's okay. Iron the front of the shirt, just the front. Because that's all they're going to see. But at least it looks crisp and ready to go. Ladies, pantsuits are nice. You can wear those, or you can wear a skirt and blouse and jacket, or a dress, however you want to go. Okay? Pumps are great. they're a great option, but if they kill your feet, don't bother wearing them. Wear loafers or what they call ballet flats. Either way. But just go for a traditional looking suit. You don't want to get too wild with color. I like to see ladies wear color, like a colored blouse, but not a real patterny pantsuit. Something much more plain and simple. This is back, Karina, what you were talking about before of taking notes. I definitely suggest that you have a notepad for in-person and not only in person, but also online. The name of the interviewer, the HR contacts, extra copies of your resume if you go into a place to have an in-person interview. Extra copies are very important. Any work samples that you might have, that's really important as well. And make sure that if you have not been to an interview site and you're going to go someplace, I think it's a good idea, even though we have MapQuest and so on and so forth now, I like to drive to the place that I'm going to have the interview first and know where it is. And that way I know where to park and I'm not going to be late to the interview. It's just a smart idea. Unless you know where it is, I think it's a smart idea to do. At the in-person interview, you want to always listen and repeat. And that goes also not only for the in-person interview, but it goes for the virtual interview as well, or the phone interview. All of these things spread kind of across the board of whatever type of interview it is. Always make eye contact. Obviously, you can't do that on the phone, but when you're interviewing, you want to try and make eye contact. Don't look around. Look at people in the eyes. When you're looking around, you look a little shifty. And so you want to make sure that you have eye contact. A lot of people have hard time with eye contact. After the initial greeting, you can look at somebody from the bottom of the eyes to the top of the mouth, right across here, and just focus on their cheek, nose, cheek. You want to not zero in on somebody's nose or zero in on one cheek, because they're going to be able to feel that and it's going to make them feel weird. Listen to what people are saying to you, and if they bring up a really important topic about the job, listen to what it says and repeat it back in your own words. That way they're going to know that you are really listening, and they're going to think you're really smart, and that's what you want to do. Tell the interviewer what you can do for the company. And you're telling that based upon the research that you have done on the company. So if you find out that the company has done a certain thing, let them know that you can definitely, this is a stronghold of yours to go out and to sell, or that you are really good with cold calls, where you just pick up the phone and call somebody and try and get a lead for a sale or something like that. I went through the business card exchange. Very important thing to do, though. You want to make sure that you do that business card exchange, because you're going to use their business card later for the spelling of their name. You want to make sure you have the spelling correct. how to exchange the business card we went through. So the virtual interview, some tips for conducting a successful video interview from home. Do a trial run before the interview. Like I said, make sure that you've turned on your computer, that what the camera is facing on is set it up so it's giving you a good shot and not chopping off the top of your head. Make sure that the computer is set correctly. You want to make sure the background is tidy and distraction free. It's good if you can have a light right in front of you, not so it blocks the computer and where they can see you, but a light that's shining on your face. I happen to be sitting in front of a lot of open windows, so that I've got a lot of daylight on me. I'm dressed professionally. You want to be dressed professionally. And it says to avoid making hand gestures. I talk with my hands. I can't help it. But try and stay away from it as much as possible. Always, always prepare a minimum of 3 questions for the conclusion of the interview. At the end of the interview, they're always going to ask you if you have any questions. You don't want to say no. And the reason you don't want to say no is because it shows that you have real interest in the job if you ask questions. So reflect on what you can do for the company and what it can do for you. Never, as I said before, a really important thing, never ever bring up money or benefits. Let the interviewer start that conversation. How and why questions. There's 2 different types of questions. How and why questions are much better than yes or no questions. Like, for instance, as I've got here on the screen, do you like school? They're going to answer yes or no. And that's the end. You've got to start all over again and start up with a new conversation. But if you say, what has your experience in school been? They're going to talk to you about it. And that's going to make it much easier for a conversation. You want to be able to have a good, strong conversation with people. It's important that asking how and why questions will get you a lot further. And then if the first thing they're going to say to you, and I explained this to you the last time that we all got together, was about the elevator speech. They're going to ask you to tell me a little bit about yourself. Well, be ready to answer that question, but then say, tell me about you. What is it about this company that's made you want to stay working with this company? Sample questions that you can ask at the end of an interview. And I like this question really a lot. I would suggest, if you have pencil and paper, that you write this down, because it works no matter where you are going. Is, what is it that I can do to prepare myself to be the best possible employee for this position? Now, granted, you don't know whether you have the job or not at this point in time. You don't know. But it plants the seed in the person's mind that you do have the job. And it also lets the person know that you are willing to go above and beyond the call of duty and get yourself ready for the job. It's really important thing to do. And always ask, when do you plan to make a decision about this position? The reason that you want to ask that is if they say, well, we're going to make a decision by this coming Friday. If you don't hear from them on Friday, call them on Monday. Call them on Monday and say, I know you were probably very, very busy, and I was wondering if you had made a decision about my coming to work for your company. It's something that I would very much like to do. And you get a chance to have a conversation with them again. So if they say that they're going in another direction, say, that's fine. Would you be okay with me calling you on occasion to find out if you have anything open? Because with all the research I've done on your company, you are the kind of a company that I would really like to work with. And you don't know that person that they hire because of you, instead of you, is maybe they don't make it. Maybe they're only there a couple of weeks. They're going to remember you talking to them and being positive about the experience. And then ask them, I said this already, but it's a pretty important question. What attracts you to work with this company? What is it about this company that makes you want to work here? And they may say it's the benefits. They may say the management is a certain way. And then you can say, well, would you explain that to me? And it just gives them a chance to talk. Get them to talk to you as much as possible. The more you let them talk, the smarter they think you are. Everybody likes to be talking. What's next? Always write a thank you note to the person who took the time to interview you. Even if it's an email at the end of the interview, write them a note and thank them. But make sure that you have spelled their name correctly. And remember, it's Ms. for any lady, unless she has told you to call her Kathy during the interview. Then you could say, Dear Kathy, thank you for taking the time to sit and interview with me. I loved the information that you gave me about the company, and this is the type of a company that I would really like to work with. Write that out. Include a sentence that describes how you'll meet their expectations. And what is your boss looking for in you? They've told you during the interview what they're looking for. And you can say to them, is there opportunity for advancement in this company? That's another good question. So make sure that you've asked them about when they plan to make a decision. I'm going to read you now a thank you note that someone wrote. This is a real thank you note. Went from one of my students, actually, and he wrote it and to McDonald's. He happened to be applying for McDonald's, and he wrote to Dear Mr. Peterson, thank you for giving me the opportunity to meet with you. I appreciate your taking time out of your busy schedule to speak with me. When I start this job, see how he's being positive. When I start this job as a cashier at McDonald's, I will be the friendliest employee doing everything I can to make the customer's dining experience the very best. He pulled that right out of the mission statement. Then he's bringing up something here that was obviously a question during his interview. I understand that I'm younger than most of your employees, but I'm eager to prove to you that I have what it takes to be a part of your team. I recall that you said you will have your decision made by Friday, but if you find yourself too busy and unable to contact me, I will call you on Monday afternoon. I look forward to speaking to you again. Sincerely, Joe Parker. Guess what, you guys? He got the job. He had a good interview, but I'm sure that the thank you note had a lot to do with it. Now, when you're waiting to hear, remember, phone manners matter. Be professional when you're answering your phone. Always reply to a phone call that is given to you within 24 hours. Always identify yourself and state the purpose for your call. So if you were calling someone, whenever I call anyone, I always say, "Hi, this is John Daly." And even if I'm calling a restaurant to make a reservation, I do that because they wonder if it's somebody that they are supposed to know, and they treat you much nicer. They really do. You're waiting now. Don't misplace your phone when you're waiting for an important call. If you happen to get the call and you're in a noisy place, say to the person, "Would you be willing to hold on while I step outside? I want to stay focused on the call, and I would like to give you my full attention." And if possible, be prepared to take notes. Another really important thing is never put anyone on speakerphone without his or her permission. It's very, very rude to do that. So be careful of that. So the review of what we did is, why is research important? What about the mission statement? The interview, you want to finish strong, and what's next? So all those things are important, and I'm going to now go back to stop the screen share and see if you have any final questions. Rosie asked, do you recommend cover letters or just a resume? No, I definitely, Rosie, recommend that you do a cover letter. Very important cover letter. And I discussed that, I believe, in the last class we had, that a cover letter is very important. And you want to definitely have that. And some of the good questions to ask, I went through a number of questions. I hope that those are helpful to you. If you'd like more, I certainly can do that. I can give you some more questions to ask, but don't ask about benefits. That's the most important thing. Do I have any other questions from anyone, or has this covered it pretty well? Well, I thank you all for listening today, and I'm glad that you had some questions, and I'm sorry that I can't figure out how to get the chat on and the screen share, but that's technology for you. So I'm going to be back with you in 2 weeks, and we're going to discuss a little bit about financial literacy. And it's not the banker talking to you, it's just everyday working with finances, everyday person's idea of finances. In the meantime, I hope you have a nice, safe next couple of weeks. Enjoy your long weekend this weekend. And above all, be safe and be sure you wear a mask. Thank you all so much. Bye-bye.